USA Radio News with Chris Barnes.
A Republican governor who's been very critical of the Trump administration's response to the coronavirus pandemic has secured 500,000 test kits from South Korea. Governor Larry Hogan of Maryland, with the help of his wife, First Lady Yumi Hogan, a Korean immigrant.
We convene countless calls nearly every night. Sometimes it seemed like all night, working through language barriers and a 13-hour time difference.
At last evening's coronavirus update at the White House, President Trump was clearly unimpressed.
He needed to go to South Korea. I think he needed to get a little knowledge would have been helpful.
Some governors are already working to roll back coronavirus restrictions. The states of Georgia, Florida, Minnesota, Tennessee, Texas, and Wisconsin will be easing those restrictions effective the 1st of May. And this is USA Radio News.
So I don't know if you saw this, but there was just this big study about anxiety among us. Really interesting in this study about what can keep us up at night. One of the top stressors out of all the things to worry about is paying for health care. A huge majority of us say we're worried about that. It's totally understandable, but there's an affordable alternative to health insurance. It's MediShare. It's a Christian healthcare sharing ministry, and it has worked beautifully for more than 25 years. And not only do people save lots of money, they get access to a huge network of doctors. They get to take advantage of 24/7 live access online where they can talk to a doctor and even get prescriptions. And of course, there is the savings. With MediShare, the typical family saves $500 a month. That can help you sleep easier too. There's a lot to love about it. No wonder it's grown so much. Here is the number to find out more. Call 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
Average gasoline prices nationwide falling again, over 4 cents a gallon over the last week. The national average only $1.79 a gallon. Here's John Clemens.
Patrick DeHaan of GasBuddy.com tells us that national average is $1.07 lower than a year ago.
The national average has declined for its 8th straight week, posting a drop of 4.4 cents to stand at approximately $1.79 per gallon. Prices now down 35 cents in a month and $1.07 lower than last year.
Meanwhile, the U.S. is looking to stock up amid plunging oil prices. President Trump saying yesterday at the White House that the country is filling up the national petroleum reserves. He said they could fill the reserves by putting in as many as 75 million barrels as oil prices continue to crater as the coronavirus pandemic drives down demand. And this is USA Radio News.
Broadcasting worldwide from the Ashby Real Estate Broadcast Studio. This is Hipp Radio Network, Georgetown, your hometown station.
Here's your Georgetown forecast from the Hipp Radio Network Weather Center. Chance for scattered thunderstorms today, otherwise overcast. High temperatures reach up to 82, southeast winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Cloudy skies expected again tonight, lows level off around 66. Isolated thunderstorms likely tomorrow, highs around 83, overcast skies. That's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. Currently, it's 63 degrees.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The switch is on. Welcome to Good Morning Georgetown with Rob and Ken. Waking you up in the mornings and getting your day started with the hottest hits, news, and jokes. Get ready. And now here's your hosts, Rob Hipp and Ken Covington.
Good morning, Georgetown, Texas, 8:12 on the AM. On a Tuesday morning, a little bit of sunshine starting to grace through the fog this morning as things started out a little bit foggy here overnight, but that fog is starting to lift. Hey, I hope everybody is doing wonderful today. I know everybody's ready to get back to work. I've been hearing some news that maybe on April the 24th here, just a few days, that some salons and some of those businesses can start reopening. I'm at the point now to where I think, everybody is keeping safe, and I think we do need to get back to work. We just got to be cautious. It's going to be a new normal. I don't want to go back to the old normal. I think that we're going to have an opportunity here for a really tremendous new normal, and that is what we have got to focus on. And we got to take care of each other going forward, friends. We got to put all this political mess aside, and we have got to focus on each other and say, you know what, I don't care about all of that other jazz. I mean, it's good to keep in mind what's going on, but look, man, at the end of the day, it's about taking care of each other and being here for each other. And couldn't have thought of a better opportunity this morning talking about taking care of each other, being there for each other, as we are launching a new show here on HRN, and that show actually is going to start tonight. And I wanted to bring on our special guest this morning who is joining us live via remote. We're doing our part here on HRN. We're not doing any in-studio stuff for a while, but Mr. James Chapman, good morning, James. What's going on, my friend?
Not much, Rob. How you doing?
Hey, man, I always say I'm blessed more than I deserve, brother. You know, waking up every day.
On that one.
I don't know if some mornings I deserve to be able to get up, but you know, we're up and rolling. And what's going on in your neck of the woods, man? How's your morning going?
My morning's going fantastic. It's a beautiful day, even if it's raining or overcast. But either way, I'm vertical. I'm vertical. It's good to be alive.
That's what it's about, man. Sometimes when I get vertical, I'm not a coffee drinker. You are, though. You told me a while ago I got to go refill my coffee cup.
Yeah, absolutely. My wife, she hits that thing at 5 a.m. and it's like a wake up call.
Yeah, I cannot do the coffee. I've got reflux really bad, so every once in a while I'll say, man, I'm going to go for the coffee. And then my stomach immediately tells me, why did you go for the coffee? So
I get it, man. I get it. I used to never drink coffee. And then 20 years ago, I met this beautiful track star who drank a lot of coffee, and she got me hooked.
There you go, man. Well, hey, speaking of, your wife, your wife was a track star, right?
Yeah, in college.
There you go, man.
So
So it kind of runs, with you, because you were in the MMA, doing a little MMA stuff for a while. Are you still doing that?
I'm not allowed to anymore, really. I'm 42 now, so my family thinks I need to give it up. But I started doing it when I was 14. So I've been a professional kickboxer and professional MMA and college and all that stuff. So football. And so I basically ran my body into the ground. So,
well, hey,
unfortunately.
Hey, you know what though, mate? You're looking good, James. So you're holding up together. I think when you turn about 80, you're still going to be looking about how you are now, man. So
that'd be fantastic.
Well, James, tell us a little bit about yourself, man. How long have you been here in this area? And just walk us through that journey, man. And then we're going to dig into the new show that you're launching here in a little bit. But give us a little backstory first, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was 2015, and my family and I were trying to get out of the Bay Area. We were one of those families like the rats abandoning ship a long time ago. And so it was about 3.5 years ago, we were thinking about where we wanted to live. And I came out here in the spring to marry my brother and his now wife. And I remember driving by through Georgetown thinking, man, I'll never live here. This is one place I'll never live. And literally within 4 months, I was called here to help take over a church that was struggling. And so we took that call. We had been ministering in California since 2004. So for us to take our kids out of a private school and our home church and to transfer out, it was a big deal. We changed our lifestyle completely, but we are blessed and we love it to be here.
Hey, well, it's kind of funny because I was born and raised here in Georgetown, of course, James. We're talking to James Chapman this morning, and man, I got to tell you, when I was growing up here, I couldn't wait to get out. And then when I was a senior in high school, I went to Austin for a little bit after I graduated, just for a little bit with my brother, and I couldn't wait to come back to Georgetown. And it's so cool now because of all of the great things we have in this community, and more importantly, all of the wonderful people here in Georgetown. The community is growing like crazy, James, but it's still a place that has that hometown feel, and that's what makes it so important. Well, tell us a little bit about your ministry journey, man, and then we'll talk a little bit more about this show that I'm very excited to have launching on our network tonight, man. It's 7 p.m., but tell us about your ministry journey.
Yeah. When I was met my wife at the time, I was really struggling. She was then just a woman I was chasing around a track when I was working out for the NFL. She was a devoted Christian, and it was funny. I was telling the story. We were going to meet up and for coffee. I'd been chasing her around for about a month, and she said, no, I don't want anything to do with you. I'm like, man, I'm just striking out here. And so she said, I'll meet you for coffee. And we met. That's when we met at Starbucks, and she was with a friend, and they had a Bible out. And I was like, oh my goodness, what's going on here? Wasn't the kind of date I was thinking, but it was awesome, man. We became really good friends over a period of about 6 months. And then God just started working in my life in a major way. And I'll talk about that on my show at some point today, or at some point this coming up soon. But I was called into ministry. I had a pastor say, "Hey man, you're called into ministry. You have a gift of gab and teaching, and you really have God's anointed you." And so I took that calling, went to seminary. Haven't finished yet. It's been a long journey, but went to seminary, and I became a lead pastor at the age of 30. So it took about 6 years of just walking with the Lord and learning, and him guiding me. Became a lead pastor, and then just started teaching and doing wherever I was called to teach. And it was never, I was a co-lead pastor, so I got to be mentored and lead with the adult generation first. So 55 plus was my first 7-year stint. I did 7 years with a 55 plus group, and there was a few hundred young men and women that they mentored me. It was amazing. It was an amazing opportunity. And then from there into families, and God's just given me a heart to come and serve. And I love to serve. I love to serve him. I love to honor him with with the gifts that he's given me. And in that process, when we moved here, it took about 2 years before we realized that or about a year and a half, that the ministry we were here for, God was really calling us here, but the ministry was there to be dissolved slowly. So we helped counsel and work with families, and we had to take a sabbatical, a break. And during that break, the Lord had told me something very important. He said, you're not giving everything you can to your family. And I said, I thought, what are you talking about? I've been working hard for my family all these years. And he said, no, you're about 50%. And I said, what? And I looked at it. I looked at myself, and I looked in the mirror, and I said, you're right. I've only been giving 50% to my family. And so at that point, I started digging into my wife and my kids and saying, hey, what is it that dad can do differently? And so as they started speaking into my life and sharing things slowly, that process became, hey, I want to serve with my kids. I want to go to their games. I want to help coach or whatever it is. I just want to be a part of it. I'll just be a dad on the sidelines. And I noticed there was a lot of parents that were hurting and upset, and they weren't as lively. They weren't joyful. There was something missing, and there were kids that were depressed and hurting. And my daughter would share stories. And I said, you know what? This is what God wants me to do. So he imparted me to start building a ministry. And I started building this ministry with teams and club teams and coaches. And this past year, we took off with it, and it went gangbusters. Went to Round Rock ISD, spoke before their school board, shared what it is to have mental illness, what it is to struggle as a teenager. That, there's over 3,500 attempted suicides yearly by teenagers. It's unbelievable. And on top of that, they're dying more than they are of natural death, diseases, cancer, anything. Our kids are dying. Our babies are dying. Families are falling apart. And as I've talked with coaches and have done these conferences and gone into corporations and conferences, I found out that everyone's broken. We all have a story. And the idea is this is going to be a prescription. Like I look at this is the prescription. It's Transformation You. You're going to become transformed in the way that God truly desired you to be transformed, and you're going to conform to his likeness, not the world's. And our goal in the process of this is to watch people go from scratching the surface to digging down deep into bedrock, because life is happening right now. The winds are coming, the waves are hitting us, and people are either falling apart or they're diving down deep into a dark place. And I want them to come up and say, you know what, this is the best time to just take life on and say, God, what do you want me to do? What do you want me in this? And it's kind of the plan for this. And I've got some stories, but I thought I wouldn't give them all away at this moment.
Yeah, no problem. Well, James Chapman here with us this morning on Good Morning Georgetown. I want to welcome everybody in to the show here this morning. As you know, we're excited. We've been trying to develop a platform here for folks here in Georgetown and those that are actively involved in the community and those that want to share words of encouragement and hope. But also an opportunity for companies and other organizations to get their message out along with these shows. And we can do that in a very commercial way. But look, the focus of these shows isn't to get sponsors. It's not to generate revenue. It's to reach people who need to be reached. And James had reached out to me many months ago when I first launched HRN. I know this has been a journey, and we've been trying to work on the logistics and kind of how that's going to work out. And we finally got all that settled. And so tonight at 7 p.m., debuting here on Hipp Radio Network Georgetown. You've got to download the app also. It's Hipp Radio Network. You can get it on your Android phone, on your iPhone. Friends, we play music 24/7, 365, but when there's not music, you better believe there's going to be programming, and you better believe that there's going to be words of encouragement, hope, and inspiration, and that is what we're launching tonight. So not only an opportunity now in the mornings, of course, to hear different stories here on Good Morning Georgetown, but then on Tuesday nights, on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock And then on Sundays at 1 p.m. for an hour, each of those times, you're going to be able to hear different stories of hope and encouragement. James, talk a little bit more. I don't want you to give too much away about the show, but talk about what really led you to wanting to start this show and some of the ideas that you have and really how you're going to engage with people here with your show on HRN. I'm excited, man. I'm stoked about it.
Yeah, so check this out. I told you we're from California. I used to do a lot of traveling over in the Bay Area, San Francisco, and I love to share this story. In 2005, the Millennial Towers was being constructed by an architect, and they called it the Millennial Partners. Basically, we're going to construct this $350 million monstrosity in San Francisco. It was going to be multi-million-dollar condominiums that were basically going to be the hub of Market Street, the Market District. And in 2014, they finally launched, and people moved into them. This is literally how Transformation U became an idea. I was reading this article, and in the process, it talked about a family who had moved in there. They wanted to be like the multimillionaires that were living there. They wanted to step up in society. So they thought if they bought an expensive place, which everything in California is expensive, that they would find happiness and joy. So the first 6 months they're living in there, and they have these two kids, and one of the boys takes his younger brother's marbles and he drops them. The mom says, "Give them back," and he just throws them on the ground. Well, it's carpet, but it's short carpet. And then one of the marbles just started taking off from the kitchen all the way to the other side of the condominium. And then the little boy went to go get it, and it rolled back to him. And they're probably, it's 645 feet, 58 floors high from ground to floor. They're in the middle of this thing, and the dad comes home and goes, "What's going on with these marbles? The kids have been playing them. Is it like a magnet?" And she's like, "No, they just go back and forth, back and forth." He goes, "We have a problem." So they finally, about 6 months later, they get a hold of the builders. The builders come up and look at it. It's sinking 14 inches on one corner. Why? And they had to look at it because they put it on sand. They're in San Francisco. It's a beautiful area. You can see the Bay Area, Pier 39. You can see everything. But the problem is that they only went 800 feet down. Sand. Sand, that 800 feet's big on, like, a 3-story house. But you're in California. You have earthquakes. You have mudslides. It's beautiful. They had to have gone down 2,000 feet just to hit bedrock. So what does that say? It says a lot about us. We have kids that are killing their lives. Their lives are being turned into sand. Why? Because they're looking at Instagram. They're looking at the next thing that's going to make them feel good. They're looking at that girl that looks better than them, so they're going to try to be that girl. And then they're going to compare themselves to that next beautiful girl, that boy who's going to look at the next door neighbor's house and say, "Oh, I want that car." It's continual sand. It's not deep. It's a choice of the eyes and of what's on top and the surface. And there's some people go to topsoil. Some marriages get started on sand. They get to topsoil and they stop there. But the problem is that there's just topsoil. So when, like Christ said, the winds are going to come. There's a foolish builder and a wise builder. When the foolish builder decides to build his home on sand, he says, when the winds come, he says, it's not that they're not going to come. They are going to come. So when the winds come, when the waves hit, it's going to fall apart. And then there's a wise builder who's going to build it on rock. He's going to go down deep. He's going to go down as deep as he possibly can. And what's going to take place is the wind is going to come, the rain's going to come, the storm's going to hit it, and it's going to stand. And there's something powerful about that. And so Transformation U is mostly going to be an encourager of digging in deep with Christ, but in the mainframe, getting the mainframe, your heart, you're going to have to address some issues. You're going to have to address, are you on topsoil? Are you on sand? And my goal here is we're going to take people's calls, texts, whatever we can do to engage. They have emails, stories they want to share, and then we're going to talk about those. And my goal is just to give some free advice. And I love to give free advice, and my wife says I give too much of it to the kid. The kids say they're just lectures, Dad, not another lecture. But I promise you, your kids are going to love this. It's for teenagers. It's for teachers especially, man. Teachers need preachers. Teachers need encouragers. They need to know why they're doing what they're doing again. They need to be encouraged. And husbands need to step it up. Husbands and wives need to step it up and take ownership of where their marriage is at, where their kids are at, and truly decide what they want in this life. And Transformation U is going to help do that. It's just going to be another tool in your toolbox. I'm not going to be your guru. I'm just going to be a guy offering something. I always tell people I'm just a beggar showing other beggars where to find bread.
I like it, man. Well, we're talking to James Chapman this morning, who's launching Transformation U. It's a new show of hope and encouragement. You're going to be able to hear that show starting tonight right here on HRN and also on Thursday. So Tuesday nights, Thursday nights at 7 o'clock for 1 hour. And, man, James, I'm believing that this thing is going to take off, man. And if it does, we may end up extending it to a couple of hours a day. We'll see, man. If it does, it may be James 24/7, the way it's going to. But we're going to keep things rocking and rolling and excited about that. And then on Sundays as well. And so there'll be an opportunity for you to provide information. And James is going to talk about all that tonight, about how you can engage with the show, how you can get involved. But just from a logistical standpoint here on the station, wanted to remind everyone out there the best way, of course, to interact and with what we're doing. We do the Facebook Live shows. We're going to stream that show as well live on Facebook right on the HRN page, so you'll be able to connect there as well. But then secondly, on the go, if you're traveling, if you're moving around, if you don't have time to look at a screen but you want to hear what's happening, very simple. All you have to do is download the Hipp Radio Network app. It's HRN. Just search for Hipp Radio Network on your Android or iOS smartphone device. The cool thing, James, too, if they've got Amazon Alexa, all you got to do is say, Alexa, listen to HRN Georgetown. You do that at 7 o'clock on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and also on Sundays at 1 p.m. You're going to hear James on there talking about his show. Well, James, man, I appreciate you. I wanted to chat a little bit more with you. We're at 8:30. I know we got started a little bit late this morning, but man, you talked about your journey from California, being here in Georgetown. I just wanted to ask you, we focus this station, of course, as Georgetown's hometown station. We focus on our community. We love our listeners. We love the residents of this community. What is one thing that you really enjoy about Georgetown? Or maybe there's several things, man. I wanted to give you an opportunity to pump up Georgetown a little bit, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One thing I love about Georgetown, and it's our officers. I love our officers. I love the fact that they're constantly, people get, from where I'm at in California, people would say, oh, the police are on the road, look out. Our police are on the road. It's like, give them a hand, say hi, check them out, see what they're doing. They're so friendly. Our officers are amazing. They're so friendly. Our law enforcement, our firefighters, I absolutely find them amazing. And they're always out to help. I always tell, I don't always tell the story, but I told a story once about how I had a ribbon that was sticking out of my trunk and I'm getting pulled over. I'm like, great, what did I do now? And all he wanted to do is help me get this ribbon back in my trunk. Cause he's like, that's a red ribbon. It's kind of flying out. Maybe someone thinks there's something wrong. Let's just get it in the trunk. And I thought, what a cool guy. He just was thinking of me in a way that wasn't, and it wasn't offensive. And it was my attitude too. It's like, first I was thinking, what did I do wrong? But he showed me you don't have to do wrong for a cop to ask you to help out. And then on top of that, I know I've done this before, but I've taken pictures of our HEB folks and I've posted them on Facebook and just said, give this person a thank you. I love our workers at HEB from both sides, from the other side of 35 to the one by Sun City. Our workers at HEB, they work around the clock, and especially in this pandemic, they have been going all out serving and connecting to people with smiles. They never look begrudging. I was in there 2 weeks ago and we had I can't shop for any, my wife shops all the time. I'm not the one who shops. And I literally could not figure it out. And they were already closed. It's 8:30. Nobody told me anything. They didn't tell me. They're just like, let me shop. They want to go home and they're waiting at the register. And finally a lady goes, do you need help with something? I go, yes. And she helps me get all our stuff together. And then I forgot my ATM card. And so what they did is they said, hey, why don't you make a call or you can go home. We'll wait for you. They waited for me till 9 o'clock, took care of me. So that's just Georgetown. Georgetown's phenomenal. And obviously it's a beautiful place to live. And the people, I love being able to see people and say hi. My wife grew up in a town like this in California called Alturas. And everywhere she went, people knew who she was and where she was going. And she said it was kind of hard for her to come back to a place like this, but now she realizes this is where our kids need to be. So we love Georgetown. It's like not Mayberry, but it's for me from coming from San Jose where there's like 2 million people. It's like Mayberry. Yeah. So I love it.
It's I'm thinking of the song and I'm horrible at singing, but I have to sing every show, James. If I don't, there's something going on. It's where everybody knows your name.
Oh, cheers.
There you go, man. That's it. So, well, James Chapman here with us this morning on Good Morning Georgetown. You can catch his show tonight. It's Transformation U. You'll hear that show on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. We appreciate him being on the show. James, a little bit of fun real quick. Well, Hey, I wanted to ask you something before we dig into the fun. You've also had an opportunity to speak to some of our youth here in this community. I've seen some pictures on social media. Can you talk a little bit about that? I know these seniors right now, it's really tough for them, especially with school. How all that's going to finish up. Of course, they're not going to finish up in a physical school building. just talk a little bit about your heart for our youth, because I know that you've spoken to a lot of these kiddos over the years, man.
Yeah, the kids, man, they're my heart, and it's so funny because I used to tell, this is what happens when you tell God your plans. I used to tell God, I'm just going to preach from the pulpit, and I don't want to. And I was deathly afraid of senior citizens because I didn't want to ever become one. I just thought I was going to die, and so when I was younger, I had this fear of senior citizens and kids. So I never thought I was going to have kids or be old. And so God said, well, your first stint's going to be with senior citizen or 55 plus. Then you're going to work with kids. And so I thought it was hilarious that he has a great sense of humor. And the youth are my passion. I have a 15-year-old, almost 16-year-old daughter next month, and it scares me to death. And my son's going to be 13 in October. And I've worked with my daughter's teams. I've worked with my son's teams. I've worked with teams at Eastview, GHS. And what I have found for these seniors is I continually tell them something. And here's what I share with them. There are three things that they need to do in life, and that they focus on this continually. As they walk, if they don't have a faith, if their faith isn't in Christ, but they have a deep sense of character that they want to grow and get to know who God is, they need to think, practice, and execute. No matter what they do, think, practice, execute. And I say that because they need to think about what they're going to do so they can do it. Because where their mind and their thoughts go is where their actions will go. It's like where your energy flows, your body goes. And so the idea of that is that they're going to practice it and then they're going to execute. And what I would tell the kids, and this is what I'm going to tell the seniors right now, if they can listen to this, if their parents are listening, every morning there's a gazelle and a lion because they both wake up and they both have a plan. The gazelle is going to look at the lion, and the lion's going to look at the gazelle at the same time, and one's going to run and one's going to be chased. And the lion's going to say it's time to play, it's time to eat, and the gazelle's going to say it's time to get lost. And if we can't get our kids to get up and say it's time to rise and grind, rise and shine, let's do this. Even as a senior, we don't have school going, we are going to get going. We're going to get on top of this. We're going to get moving. I want our kids to get out there and execute with the best they can in these times, and just know this is just the beginning of their life. It's not the end. Senior year will soon be a memory, and it'll be a fun memory, believe it or not. And the parents, this is a great time for the parents to engage with their kids prior to them leaving the house, if they're only going to leave the house. If they're like me, they're going to launch and then re-land back, because I landed back a few times at my house in my 20s.
Well, James, appreciate everything that you're doing for our youth and for the kids, and just the words that you were sharing. Now, I wanted to make something really clear, because we've got a very diverse audience that listens to H, and that's what I love about what we do here on HRN. We have an extremely diverse audience of people from all over the spectrum, and we do that intentionally because we want to bring messages to people at every angle. Let's just be honest, at every single angle. That's why I don't get really political. Sometimes I may say a couple of things, just my opinion and ideas, but I don't dig into that. I don't like getting argumentative. Of course, this whole station is about trying to lift people up, not bring them down. With me saying that, there may be a lot of people that listen to this show that aren't believers, but I still believe that there's something in that show for them as well. Can you kind of talk a little bit about that, James?
Yeah, the Transformation U program, the hour I'll be focusing everything that we're going to be discussing. I'm going to be a sniper. I'm not going to be a machine gun. I'm not going to go all over the place. I'm going to sit there. I'm going to teach you how to be a sniper, and we're going to take one shot, one kill, one thing at a time. And the goal in this is that we are going to literally talk about the issues that we focus on in life. And yeah, my background and my first half of my life was not as a Christian. It was as a wrecked kid who didn't have a two-parent system. I had I lived homeless. I had a lot of issues growing up. And so I have that part of my life that I can relate to. I have a lot of stuff I can relate to the people. And then I take that, my other half, where God's given me wisdom in his word. But what I do is because I've spoken on all platforms, I take what God has provided, and I can speak into your life without trying to beat you over the head. And I will 100% share my faith, but I will not make every program strictly about that. We may be talking about finances one program, or we'll be talking about how to deal with your kids when they're sexually active, and you want them to not be. We're gonna talk about things that you're gonna be like, we're blowing this away, and this is not. This guy's been a pastor. Why is he talking about that? No, we're gonna get there. We're gonna talk about everything, and it's not gonna be. And I don't discriminate against anybody. It's whoever wants to show up and tell me that I'm wrong. Go ahead. I'll smile and tell you I love you. But whatever it is, it's not gonna be. I'm not gonna try to convert you. It's not my job to do that. It's my job to speak truth, whatever that truth may be for me. And my prayer will be that God will bless this.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm really looking forward to this show because I think, especially during this time, James, as you know, we need to continuously hear words of encouragement and hope, and just those kind of things are what people need to really grow and develop. And I'm stoked, man, because we have been wanting. I feel like God has given me this platform and this privilege to be able to bring those kind of shows and content to our community here in Georgetown, and also in a way that can also help business owners. And that's why we do this station and this show and this station, is because we have a platform to commercially promote business. And we can say things and do things that you may not be able to do on other platforms just because of the nature of a nonprofit. Now with us, we're a commercial station, and so we can promote businesses, and we're going to work towards getting sponsors. Of course, with your program, I know you've got some folks that are going to be supporting that as well, and so we're going to work out those logistics as the show continues. But for those of you that are out there listening, you say, you know what, I would love to be a part of this program. James, I'm believing that a lot of people are going to tune in and listen to this each evening on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then again on Sundays at 1 o'clock. I'm truly believing that. I know that there's going to be a lot of really awesome, relevant information that's going to be engaging. And so for businesses out there, you may say, hey, I'd like to be a part of that. Reach out to me or reach out to James if you know James, and we can get started on that as well and get you up and running. So I'm excited to be able to bring those advertising partners on, James, because right now really is the time, if you're a business, to get your name out there and talk a little bit more about your products and services, because like I heard, I think in 5 days or so, Texas is supposed to open up. Now, I don't know the full details of that, to be honest. As someone who reports the news, I should be keeping up with that a little bit more, but I haven't been. I've just been kind of COVID-19 glossed here over the past week because we've heard so much about it. But James Chapman, again, he'll start his show tonight here on HRN at 7 p.m., so you want to make sure to join us. You'll be able to see it here on Facebook. You'll also be able to hear it on the app as well. James, before we let you go, man, it's 8:40. I like to have a little bit of fun. Is that okay, man?
Absolutely. A little bit of fun.
A little bit of fun, man. I like to talk about what's going on in history. Now, let me rewind, because this isn't a fun thing. One of the tragedies of this day in history, 4 years ago, April the 21st, 2016, was Prince when he passed away, man. And I know that the music world lost a legend in Prince. And so, yeah, I don't want to be sad, but that is probably, out of everything that stands out today in history, that is one of the big ones, is Prince passing away, of course. I don't even remember where I was at when that happened. You know, I usually tend to remember where I was at and what I would do on big events, but I don't remember. Because to be honest, James, I didn't grow up listening to a lot of Prince.
Really? So I was in the movie theater when Purple Rain came out. I mean, that dates me. I'm 42 years old. So I was in the movie theater with my cousin. I was like, I think I was 7 or 8. And there was standing room. You couldn't even sit down in the theater. It was so packed, and girls were screaming as if they were in a concert, when they were crying as if he was really getting beat up in that movie, Purple Rain. If you ever seen that movie, it's amazing. He stars in it. It's about his life. And I remember just thinking, man, these people love this guy. And I only went there because my cousin went there, and he only went there because he liked this girl. So I was just following people. But I remember seeing the music and watching this. I have flashbacks of this 1980s movie, Purple Rain. And so, yeah, I used to think that it was, I didn't even know the song Little Red Corvette. I didn't even know that the real lyrics. I would make up my own lyrics as a kid. I mean, I loved his music, man.
Well, that is one of the things. Now, here's another one, 1836, a little Texas history here. Right after the Alamo, of course, General Sam Houston led 800 Texans to victory over a Mexican army of 1,500 under General Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna in the Battle of San Jacinto, ensuring the Texans' independence from Mexico. I did not know that was today, man. I thought that was pretty interesting.
That's like lifeblood here, Texas history.
Yeah,
it's one of those things you have to have. You have to have a star too on your door. Hey, you have to have one of those big Texas stars.
That's right. Hey, we've got one on the like the pitch of the roof on the front, because it's weird how my house is. It's not like a flat roof. A lot of houses nowadays, I guess, are built with different styles of roofs. Mine isn't just a straight flat roof. There's one side of the house where, I guess it's because the way the bedroom is turned or whatever, that there is a pitch to the roof. And so it's like you're looking at the side, but we put a big star right there above that. It's kind of cool where the peak of the roof is. So you've got to have that if you're in Texas.
Yes.
James,
yes. And you have to have the eagle fight, never die if you're in Georgetown.
That's right.
That's what I've learned. I've learned that.
EFND. Now, we don't want to forget about our friends at Eastview either. So,
oh, no.
we can put both of them up there somewhere. Now, I'm an EFND because I went to Georgetown. I graduated from Georgetown. It's just like people driving around with their college you know what, they got with the back of their college sticker on the back of their car.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I was. It's weird. I'm a fan of Georgetown because my daughter plays there, but she knows I got a heart for Eastview because I've worked with their coaches and their kids, and I love Eastview too. I love that they shared a stadium for this long. That just blows me away that they share a stadium.
Yeah, I mean, it's and you know, I think here in the next, I don't know, man, 10, 15 years, we're probably going to have a third high school, and so it'll be kind of interesting to see how all that works out for sure. 1934, James. Very famous photograph. You've probably seen it. Now, I can't show it here on the Facebook Live because it's probably a copywritten photo, but it is a little thing popping out of the water. It's kind of this grayish-looking photo. Do you have any idea what it may have been? It was something popping out of the water, James. 1934. It started this entire sensation that some people today still believe that is true. Any idea?
The Loch Ness Monster?
It is, dude. Right on the money. 1934, the Loch Ness Monster, James.
Oh, my goodness. That's awesome. I have a little bit of a conspiracy theory in my own head, so it works out great.
The Daily Mail printed a photograph that reportedly depicted the small head and neck of the Loch Ness Monster, the iconic image. And if you know what I'm talking, anytime I think of the Loch Ness Monster, that's the only picture I think of because I have no idea what else it would look like. It's widely known as the surgeon's photograph. It sparked an international sensation. Oh, man, but later it was revealed to be a hoax. But the conspiracy theory guys, they still think that it's real, man.
Oh, yeah.
So
they do. Those big old fish.
That's it, man. Today in history, it's National Library Workers. Or did I say today in history? No, it's National Day of today. Today is the National Library Workers Day. James, a librarian, Robin Morrow, made one of the biggest impacts on my life growing up. My 9th grade librarian. I remember her vividly. Of course, I talk to her still every once in a while to this day. She made a huge impact in my life, and especially the public school librarians. I want to give them a shout-out today, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a librarian friend who's her and her husband like mentors for my family. Nathan and Marcia Socher. They are. She was a librarian, and she got her degree, her master's in library science, and she's a phenomenal woman and very joyful. And if she's listening or hearing this, we love you, Marcia.
That is. I had no idea there's a master of library science. I know it's pretty technical the way you've got to set all that stuff up. You don't think about it because you just go in and grab a book, but there's more to it than that, man.
Yeah, I had no idea how in depth. And librarians, like the ones who have their masters, they make high 6-figure salaries.
Wow,
it's crazy.
So that is the National Library Workers. I also wanted to mention another librarian, her assistant, Linda Spruill. Miss Spruill was always amazing, also there in 9th grade. And then as I go back, the only other librarian, and I don't want to offend, if there's anybody watching that I'd had as a librarian, I feel terrible because I cannot remember the librarian's name at the high school. At Georgetown High School, I maybe only went to that library a few times. Now that in 9th grade, I was always in the library, man, at the 9th grade center back in the day.
I went to the library just to I had a teaching advisor there, and she would always give me advice. She was amazing. She was always giving me advice, and then she'd say, if you're having a bad day, just come sit in here. And I would have some days where I just didn't sleep well the night before, and I'd go in there, and she'd have a little pillow for me. I know it sounds bad because it's high school, but she was so sweet. She was awesome. I loved her.
Well, there was another librarian I remember in junior high here in Georgetown, Dorothy Colbert, and Miss Colbert made a huge impact on my life as well. It's funny. I go back and I think about teachers and in the public school system, who made the biggest impacts on my life. Now, I had coaches. Now, I quit football, though, when I was in 9th grade because I literally weighed 100 pounds, and I've talked about it on the show. But I remember Miss Colbert as well in junior high, and I would go into that library every day during lunch, and I became a library aide where I would help, check in and out books. Back then, all the computers ran on what's called Microsoft DOS back in the day. There was a program built into DOS called QBasic, and I learned how to program in that thing. And wow. I wrote a computer program once, and I don't know if Miss Colbert ever found out about this. I'd probably would have got, probably suspended or expelled. Sorry, Miss Colbert. I was a pretty good kid, but there was a few things that I did, that were probably questionable every once in a while, like everybody. But we wrote a computer program. I remember this extensively. We wrote a computer program in junior high that we had a bunch of names of teachers, and it was just being kids, okay? So we had a bunch of names of teachers that we inputted. It would ask that. It would like name 10 teachers at the beginning of the program, just a simple little text program. And then it would say, there was some other thing like 6 verbs. It was kind of like Mad Libs. You remember Mad Libs growing up?
Oh, yeah. I
where
loved
you just fill in adjectives, verbs, all that. And, it wasn't anything like really vulgar or bad or anything like that. It was just a bunch of joke, that we wrote this program. Well, in QBasic, the word print means that it prints it to the screen. Okay, you follow me? So print means it puts it on the screen. So when you would execute the program, it would go boom, 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 and just line by line start spitting out random sentences with teachers' names and all these different adjectives, verbs, nouns. Well, what happened was I didn't realize that I ran the program once, and I was, it's kind of cool. I was like, this is really neat. And you could slow it down and speed it up. And so I rewrote the program, and I said, hey, it would be kind of cool to print a few of these just to see what would happen. Well, the word L-print in QBasic means line print. And what L-print will do is on the old dot matrix printers where you go, rah, 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 it's the old school printers. There was a printer in the back room, and I wanted to see how fast it could print that stuff. And so I put L in front of it, reran the program, and instead of the text in those sentences being put on the screen, James, they were printed to that dot matrix printer. And it was just hauling, man. Pop, 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 pop. And so it was the old school printers, too, to where you had to tear the paper off. You follow what I'm saying? The old sheet feeders.
Oh, yeah.
You have to flip the little sides and pull the paper out.
Mm-hmm.
So we ended up going to lunch. We left. I put that in the recycle bin. We had these huge red recycle bins. I remember those also very distinctively. And we went to lunch, and I guess some kid had came by that hung out with us in the library, and he decided it'd be cool to run that program while we went to lunch.
Oh, my goodness.
So what do you think happened within, 20, 30 minutes when he ran that program and we were at lunch and we came back? What do you think we found?
Paper everywhere.
Yeah, huge, just continuous sheet-fed paper, because in the library they had huge boxes of paper.
Yeah.
This wasn't like some little 200-page count. I mean, we're talking, 5,000 to 10,000 pages of paper that are in these huge boxes. We come back and that entire back office is filled with just continuous feed of paper. There was nothing but these teachers' names and sentences, like a Mad Lib. There probably was some questionable words on that, because we were kids. We were having fun. And I remember taking all of that paper in as quick as we could, man. We were trying to stuff it. We filled up 2 of those red recycling bins, and no one ever found out, thank goodness. Until now. I've revealed it now, 25 years later. So here you go. That's the big reveal.
Oh, my goodness. That's hilarious. I love that. We had our did you guys have senior pranks at Georgetown?
I think it had kind of died out. I know when my sister was at Georgetown High School, one of the pranks was they took all of the desks and the chairs and they put them on the roof of the school. That was pretty funny. I don't know how they did it.
That's I don't know how they did that either. We had some kids do that, but we had a school, and I went to a school of 3,500 people, so it was a big school. And we took the first day of school. What we did is we took all the nameplates or all the number plates off the doors, every single one of them, and we moved them around the entire school. So when the first day of school, people couldn't get to class, and we thought it was hilarious. And I remember the principal walking in my classroom and gave me put his arm around me, and he said, "Mr. Chapman," he's like, "That was fantastic. Thank you." I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "We have cameras up now." I go, "Oh." I go, "Do you have to put them back?" He goes, "No, the janitor to do that." He's like, "Thank you for not super gluing them." Because I used Velcro. I didn't want to ruin the school, but it was awesome. We loved it. Man. So everybody lost. All the freshmen. That was the best part. All the freshmen were lost.
I remember growing up here in Georgetown, there used to be graffiti on a few things. So where Mel's Lone Star Lanes is, I remember this. It's cool how your brain starts triggering stuff. So where Mel's Lone Star Lanes is now, and I believe also Georgetown Interstate Transmission and Auto, that used to be this really huge hill that went up. It was a huge hill that just went up, and of course on the backside of it was I-35. I think that there was Bobby Glass wrecker was there, if I'm not mistaken. When I was a kid growing up, there was a wrecker on top of that hill, and I just specifically remember that hill being up there, and I remember seeing where they would spray paint that hill, where it would say seniors. They didn't say 2000, of course, but it would say seniors 94, seniors 89. That's when you know you're living in a small town. When you've got the graffiti somewhere in the town that is the spot where the kids spray paint the year they graduate. I'll be honest, I kind of miss seeing that. I think what we should have in Georgetown, not in a ugly-looking way, but is a designated spot that the seniors can go. And, you know, if they want to write their name on a wall or something, there needs to be a designated spot. I think that would be really cool. It's kind of like the Cadillac Ranch up in Amarillo area. Have you heard of that?
No, I haven't.
So the Cadillac Ranch is where this guy buried Cadillacs up with the front end of the Cadillac in the ground and the back of them sticking out of the ground. He buried like 5 or 6 of these things. And you can go there, and for whatever reason, that was just a form of art that he did. He buried these Cadillacs. You could paint them. You could write your name on them. And so we wrote our name, and it's just a random place. I think it'd be so cool if we had a place for our high school seniors. Now, of course, probably other people would misuse it, but it would still be really cool if we had some sort of a designated place where seniors could write their name, write spray paint seniors 2020, whatever they want to do. And then every year you could paint over that and restart it. That would be really cool, man.
No, I think that'd be fantastic. There's plenty of space on the campus and nearby to do like a billboard or a concrete block wall, like a concrete wall. That'd be phenomenal. Yeah. I
remember when I was a kid and they built the creative playscape. There was kids at the school that they were allowed to paint a little tile, and they had those tiles everywhere with everybody's name on it. It was really cool. And I say kid, I think I was in junior high when all that happened. So that is it. It's National Library Workers Day. That's what started this whole tangent. That's what I love about this show. We never know where we're going, James.
I love it. It's fantastic. There's all kinds of stories to tell.
There's one last librarian that I specifically want to point out. And thank the Lord that I remember my kindergarten librarian, Miss Burson. And she had passed away many years ago. Her husband was on city council here for many years. But the Burson family, I went to school, in fact, with her grandson, Cameron. And I just got to tell you, man, I will never forget Miss Burson. And just sitting there as a kindergartner, amazed. It's cool. If you stop, literally, and smell the roses, just take a moment to pause and go back to when you're a kid. How cool was everything? How awesome was your imagination back then? Everything was new. Everything was... It was interesting. Now, I know some kids, unfortunately, they may not have grown up in situations where they had a lot of good memories, and that's tragic and understandable. But I think that every kid, though, at some point has had memories of just something new and exciting. And even as an adult, if you go visit a place you've never visited before, it's pretty exciting for a little bit. It's not like when you're a kid, though, because you're just blown away for the whole week. Now it's like, okay, I've been here an hour. Okay,
Yeah, absolutely. It's I remember the street lamps. Remember going like, okay, street lamps are going up, lighting up. It's time to go home. I remember street lamps, and I remember just wandering everywhere, riding my bike everywhere, taking the bus everywhere. It was one of those things where as a kid, I was so free. It was a freeing thing to know that whatever was going to happen that day, it was going to be fun. And I remember just some days I would just have a ball in my hand, and I'd have that ball, and I'd take that ball everywhere, and that ball would bring adventures, whether you go over to the neighbor's yard, talk to another kid who had a skateboard, play with a skateboard. But our kids, man, that's one of the things that goes back to the transformation. I love this because the kids my kids struggle with this too, getting off their phones, having a true destination of where they're going. How many adults today can't even remember a phone number? I mean, think about that. Everything's programmed. We have a smartphone that's making us dumber. So it's one of those things where I want to be a smarter person by just being wiser with the choices we make. And our kids, man, last night, I have to talk about this because last night we live over in the Villages, and the parents are, we're as parents, we have kids and they're going stir crazy. We decided, I went to Academy a couple weeks ago and I bought like soccer nets and I bought some tennis nets and I just threw them out in the yard. So for kids to play, and my kids are playing soccer, and we ended up having this tournament of soccer 2-on-2 in the street. And I remember as a kid, just having flashbacks as a kid playing soccer in the street. It was so much fun. And then the kids went and got the water balloons, and we're out till us 3 adults, my wife and I and our neighbor across the street, with all these kids throwing water balloons at each other till 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, having just a blast. And I'm thinking, man, this is what our kids need. They need to be outside engaging. And yeah, we're in this kind of recluse style right now, but the reality is that we still have to we have to practice these habits. So I miss those days, man. I miss those days.
We can bring them back, man. You can bring them back by listening to Transformation U every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 o'clock and Sundays at 1. And James will bring back some of those memories for you. I bet you will, James. So we're looking.
Oh, I will.
Looking forward to that. So I wanted to thank those librarians today. I won't go into details or depth about this. We've got about 3 more minutes here, James. It's also National Chocolate-Covered Cashews Day. That doesn't sound intriguing. I'm not a chocolate fan. Are you, dude?
No, I'm not. I like milk chocolate occasionally, but I'm not a candy person.
Yeah,
I'm not a candy person. I don't like mixing peanuts and candy. It's not my thing.
I like peanuts a little bit. Chocolate, there's some chocolate, like I like a good Hershey's, man. I really like that cookies and cream Hershey's. That's pretty good.
Oh.
Twix. Those are about the only 2 that I like. But last night I was going, we're trying to stay on this health kick here at my house because I lost a lot of weight after the pancreatitis in January, man. And I'm feeling a lot better now. My stomach's still a little cringy a little bit here and there, but I kind of started eating stuff again, not going back as bad as I was, but I was like, maybe I'll have a hamburger twice a week instead of every day. And I started gaining a little bit more weight. I mean, I got back up to 206 or so, or 207. And I was like, nope, I don't want to ever see 210 again. I'm trying to get to 185, 190. So, kind of cleared out the kitchen and staying away from all that stuff. But, man, I dug around. I was so hungry last night. I was trying to find something. And my fiance, man, I'm going to tell you what, my fiance, her mama taught her how to cook. My fiance, Bridget, I love you, Bridget. She can put together anything food-wise and make it exceptionally well. I'm talking about food that you're like, where did this come from? You go in the kitchen, and you look in the pantry, in the closet, you feel like you don't have anything to eat. And then later that night, you've got this exorbitant meal, and you're like, where did you come up with that from?
Yeah, that's the best. That's the best when you go, like my wife is an amazing cook. She made a bamboo shoot, like coconut chicken the other night. And I'm like, who's going to eat this? Our kids were digging into this and loving it. I grew up on cereal. I literally ate cereal every day. And I didn't, and that's part of the poverty, but I had literally cereal every day. And I never had a vegetable, not in my life, one time until I met my wife.
Wow.
And that's pretty bad.
Hey, but you turned out all right, man.
Yeah, I'm one of those guys that looks healthy, but he's like rotting away inside.
Oh, man.
All the junk food.
Yeah. Well, and it catches up to you. So, yeah, no. So last night I found, I guess the H-E-B sells like these blocks of really hard chocolate that you use to melt over, strawberries and stuff like that. So what I found it last night. I broke a big piece of that off, and I started, it was popping my teeth. But it tasted really good, man. I'm not going to lie.
It wasn't that bitter chocolate, that cooking chocolate?
I think it was, but it didn't taste bitter.
Man.
Whenever you don't have any other snacks, it tasted great to me, man.
Yeah, I know. I hear you. I've made a cucumber sandwich once because we had no lunch meat or anything. And I remember thinking this is the best sandwich ever. And I'll never do it again because I was just starving. But
when I was a kid, we used to eat mayonnaise sandwiches. God, that is so sick. How did I eat that junk?
I used to suck on mayonnaise packets with my hash browns at school. I'd have a mayonnaise packet. For every bite, I'd have one packet of mayonnaise. I was literally a kid who just could not help himself. I needed that nasty, rich food.
You know what they say about mayonnaise? Mayonnaise, some crazy people around here. That's a stupid joke. National Kindergarten Day today. If you got a kindergartner, how special is that? Today is National Kindergarten Day. And also today, and I want to read about this one really quick. Today is National Yellow Bat Day. And I got to tell you, that's really it's awesome because April 21st honors National Yellow Bat. You may be wondering, what in the heck is that? It's something really serious. On this day in 1967, the Army activated the 265th Army Security Agency Company Airborne with the 101st Airborne Division at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. The official insignia of the 265th is a bat with outstretched wings and a full moon rising with the motto, "Through the Night Below." Symbolically, and this is from nationaldaycalendar.com, by the way, symbolically, the bat represents mystery and secrecy due to its nocturnal nature. The bat fittingly describes the intelligence support provided by the Army Security Agency Battalion. I had no idea, man. That's pretty cool stuff. So,
that's awesome. That's fantastic because you would never know by the name of it.
No.
You never know by the name of it. That's pretty cool, man. I love our troops. Our troops are some. I always have this thing about the troops. I feel like any of our troops who've served and have gone out there and have done the job that they've done and come home and had to readjust. I just wish we had the resources just to make sure that they're taken care of.
You bet.
I truly do. It just breaks my heart that our troops. I know too many wounded veterans that struggle in life, And they struggle because their body and their mind wasn't meant to see what they've seen and do what they do. And it just breaks my heart. I actually lost a brother in Afghanistan in 2004. And so it was one of those things where he's my, not by blood, but their family raised me in their house. And so I had my own dresser, I had my own bunk bed. And it was one of those deals where I just, when I lost him, it took a part of me, and I miss our troops. And I thank God for our troops. And I thank God for our country. So I love it.
Well, James, appreciate you being on this morning. We had a lot of folks on, not only here on Facebook, of course, but through our app. I was looking through the list. Of course, a lot of folks from Georgetown, but man, there was people today joining us from Houston, Texas, from Fort Worth, down in Austin. Every once in a while, it's weird because that's what I love about internet radio is I can see where they're coming from. Now, that's based on what's called IP address, and it doesn't tell me like what street and neighborhood. That'd be a little bit too much. Some people are kind of like, how do you even know it's from Georgetown? Well, the IP address, that's just public information, to be honest, and the software picks up on that. But, man, I've seen people from Romania pop in on here, from Brazil. Most of our audience, of course, is right here in Georgetown because that's what we focus on. Sometimes those IP designations aren't accurate. But, man, it's really cool because you never know who's going to listen, and I just love the opportunity, James, not only to chat with you this morning, of course, but to reach out to our friends wherever you may be. You can always be on the road. You could be traveling. Hopefully when we get back into the swing of things here, you're on the road. You can listen to the show anywhere as long as you got data on your phone. Joshua Harris joins us at the Oak Ridge Disciple House a little bit earlier. Oak Ridge Disciple House is a Christian character building ministry, a 501c3 nonprofit helping men 18 and older who are suffering from drug and alcohol addiction. If you or someone you know needs help, there is light at the end of the tunnel. That light can always be found through the Oak Ridge Disciple House. For more information, visit them online at oakridgedisciplehouse.com. I know right now with this COVID-19, a lot of folks are trying to figure out, they're trying to save money, but there's some folks who are saying, hey, I want to give, but who do I give to? Oak Ridge has always supported me in my endeavors through SHN and now here through HRN. Even in Huntsville, Texas, Oak Ridge had supported some of our broadcasts there for Sam Houston State University. And so if you have the opportunity, Josh is doing an incredible job there through his ministry, helping men. I believe like a 92% success rate there, and that is just blows the industry away as far as recovery goes, because it's not just a recovery house, and Josh would probably be okay with me saying this. It's not a recovery house, it's a transformation house, and that's what happens there at Oak Ridge. That's what's important, because you can either recover or you can be transformed. And I'm not just giving Josh, a PSA here, but I'm straight up telling you in life, that can go true anywhere, James. I know we're a little bit over 9 o'clock, but that just hit me, and I wanted to tell people, look, today, think about where you're at in life, and do you want to recover or do you want to be transformed? That just hit me, brother. I've never thought of that before. And then I'm sitting there thinking of your show, Transformation U. It all goes together. Think about that today if there's an area that you're struggling with. And it could be something very minuscule. It could be something huge. Do you want to recover from that, or do you want to be transformed? And if it's something serious as a drug or alcohol addiction, I want to tell you right now that Oak Ridge can help you through that. It's all built on a relationship with Christ, and Josh will sit down. He'll go over everything. He's been a tremendous friend, a brother to me, and I appreciate all that he does. James, any final thoughts, man, before we let you go? It's 9:05, baby.
Yeah, one of the thoughts I had is for Joshua, man. He is one of the most loving men I know. And I've gotten to spend time with those men up there and teach. And I was a regular there until this pandemic happened. We had to, social distancing. But the men there, I've been into a lot of prisons and a lot of recovery homes and helped with teaching and serving. And what they do there is like no other. What they do there's like no other place. And that's why the success is there, is because they strip themselves of themselves. And I love what you said. You can either get, because here's the thing, anybody can get clean if they want to or get sober. But what happens when you miss a meeting or you miss an opportunity or you get pressured? That's when the transformation takes place. If the heart's not transformed, what's going to take place is you're going to redirect those addictions into something else. It'll be into food. It'll be into work, whatever it is. You have to be willing to toss it, to get rid of it, to throw it out completely. And what Joshua does is he teaches those men with the education and the discipline how to completely renew oneself. They're literally going in there like a dirty pair of laundry, and they're coming out bright as white. And I love it. I love what Joshua does. I love the Oak Ridge Ministries, and please, people, support them. It's so important. Those men in there have families, and they have lives, and they want to do good. They truly do. They truly want to do what they're called to do. But like Paul said, hey, the thing that I ought not do, I do. And the thing that I want to do, I can't seem to do it. And God says, hey, man, just keep pressing forward inch by inch. Don't take a yard. Just take an inch by inch, day by day. And I love it. I love what Oak Ridge Ministry does. So that's my take. Sorry.
No, that's all right, man. Well, hey, tonight, be sure to tune in, 7 o'clock. Download the app. It's Hipp Radio Network. You're going to hear some more really amazing inspiration. It's not going to be me. That's what I'm excited about. It's not going to be me. It's going to be James on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m., on Sundays at 1 o'clock. You want to join the show. And, hey, if you'd like to support that show, we've got some options that we're working on, incredibly affordable packages there to help get your name out. And you can align with just a really great opportunity here to reach our Georgetown community. James, I appreciate you being on the show this morning, man.
Thank you.
I know that you and I have chatted back and forth a little bit over the phone and by email, but it's cool to finally connect this way. And then, of course, here in a little bit, I'll call you right back once we end the show.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to let you go here in just a few minutes, and then I'll call you back because we've got to get all your stuff set up for tonight. You're going to be doing that remotely, so we're going to work on that. But, friends, again, thanks for being part of this show this morning. And, James, we appreciate you, man. I'll talk to you here in a little bit. Have a blessed day, man.
You too, man. Thank you.
So, once again, that was Mr. James Chapman joining us here today with his new show that will be launching here on HRN tonight. Again, called Transformation U, so you want to make sure that you tune into that. I want to thank Coach Munoz. He was joining us today. Appreciate you. Stephen Giorgio, you missed my whole story about Miss Colbert in the library in junior high. You were there, man. I brought it up earlier. You're going to have to go back and rewind. So I want to welcome everybody here today that had said hello. Martha Woodley, one of my teachers back in high school. Thank you, Miss Woodley. I hope you're doing okay today as well. Many friends join us. One of our sponsors, Susan Eisenhower, joining us as well. Want to give this opportunity, as I do on every show right now, and we're going to do this, honestly, until May, is if you're a business that needs help, we're providing a platform to get your business help. I don't know what that's going to entail as far as how much we're going to be able to provide to you financially, but we do have several options that we're working on to help your business. You may be a business owner. You may know of a business owner that needs help. Visit hrngeorgetown.com/sponsor that or support. I beg your pardon. It's hrngeorgetown.com/support. And let us know what your needs are. If you'd like to donate to our auction, it's going to be an online auction in May. We still need items. We haven't had any come in this week. We're hoping and believing that we're going to get to around 50 or 60 items. That'll give us a really diverse opportunity to reach many people with different items that they may be interested in. The proceeds from those items are going to be dispersed in ways that help businesses who have submitted information on that form at hrngeorgetown.com/support. You can donate those items at hrngeorgetown.com/auction. And then last but certainly not least, if you are open for business and you want folks to know that, just go to hrngeorgetown.com/open. That is hrngeorgetown.com/open. And we will be more than happy to add you to our listing on our website. Now, our sponsors, of course, they get commercials. They'll get a special star next to their name if they're a sponsor and wants folks to know that they're open. But we will gladly list any business at this time. We just won't run the commercial, of course, but we will be more than happy to list you on our website to help folks know that you're open. Friends, it's always my true honor, joy, and privilege to bring you this show every single morning here on Hipp Radio Network Georgetown. It's Georgetown's hometown radio station. We'll be back again tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., 7 or 8. We may be bumping the show back an hour. There's a few extra projects that I'm working on, and so this show may end up, instead of from 7 to 9, it may be bumped back from 6 to 8, coming up in May. And so I just wanted you to be aware of that. It may not work well for some of you, but for many others who are on your way to work, and now you've got an opportunity to really listen to us on your entire way to work. Especially if you go to Austin. How many know that it sometimes takes a couple of hours depending on when you leave? So we're going to have that show. Again, we may try to bump it back an hour to 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Just so I can work on some other projects and really try to maximize that time. And morning shows work really well during that block as well. So we're looking forward to that. Friends, I love you. I appreciate you. Want to remind you this morning, Georgetown, that we're not strong enough alone to make it on our own. We need each other. Provide a word of encouragement. Lend a hand of support. Somebody out there this morning needs you. Good morning, Georgetown, and God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow. Don't forget, Transformation U tonight, 7 o'clock. We'll have it here on our Hipp Radio Network Facebook page, and we'll also have it on the HRN app. Have a great morning, everybody.